Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make chocolate peanut cookies, and this is what they look like. This cookie has a soft and chewy texture, and they're buttery with a mild chocolate flavor, and we're going to add some chopped peanuts, which add more flavor and a nice crunch. So the first thing that you will need to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 190 degrees Celsius. And then you'll need a baking sheet. I've just lined mine with parchment paper, but you could either lightly butter it or spray it with one of those nonstick sprays. So to make our batter, if you have a stand mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment. You could use a hand mixer, or really this is like a dump and stir cookie, so you could just use a large bowl with a wooden spoon. The first thing you will need is a half a cup, 113 grams of butter. Have your butter at room temperature. I'm using unsalted. I like the flavor, and that way I can control the amount of salt in the cookie. But if you have a favorite salted butter, you could use that, and then just leave out the salt in the recipe. So all I'm going to do is just beat this on like medium speed, just until it gets nice and smooth. Oh, maybe 30 seconds. Okay, easy enough. So let's give it a quick stir. And now we're just going to add most of our ingredients here. So we have a half a cup, 100 grams of granulated white sugar, a quarter of a cup, 50 grams of light brown sugar. If you don't weigh your ingredients, which of course I always advocate, but if you are using a measuring cup, with brown sugar, just kind of pat it down because it's so soft. Let's put that in there. And we have, for flavoring, 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of pure vanilla extract. And then I have 1 large egg. Have your egg at room temperature. 1 large egg is 50 grams out of the shell, or about that. And what else? We got 3 tablespoons, which is about 40 grams. I'm using milk. You could use whole milk. You could use reduced fat. 3 tablespoons is about 40 grams. Okay, and then, of course, chocolate cookies. So a third of a cup, 35 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Now you could use either the natural unsweetened or the Dutch process, whatever you have in the house and whatever you like. And we have just 1/8 of a teaspoon of baking soda and a quarter of a teaspoon, it's just 1 gram of salt. You could use kosher or just table salt. And we have 1 cup, which is 130 grams of all-purpose flour, plain flour. I'm just going to add about half of that in there and just kind of... Okay. And now we are just going to beat this. I'm going to start it on really low speed because I don't want that flour and everything coming up my face. And then just increase the speed to medium and just mix it all together until you get a batter. So if you're doing it by hand, just give it a good stir. Okay, easy enough. So now I'm just going to put the rest of the flour along with a half a cup, which is about 75 grams of chopped roasted peanuts. So you can use salted, unsalted. You could probably use the dry roasted as well. Now, if you don't want to use peanuts, you could use another type of nut, pecans, walnuts, almonds. And if you didn't even, like some people don't want nuts in their cookies, then what you could do is use about a half a cup, 85 grams of chocolate chips, either white, milk, or semi-sweet, bittersweet. Some choices there. So I'm just going to mix this in till we have a nice batter. And we are done. This is a really nice cookie, to just having in the cookie jar for the kids or for yourself. Good with a glass of milk, cup of tea, cup of coffee. And what's nice, they're so easy to make. And just so if you want to mix this recipe up a bit, if you don't want to add the peanuts, and say you wanted to add chocolate chips, what you could do, I was thinking, that you could replace the milk with like freshly brewed or instant coffee. So you have a little coffee flavor with the chocolate. I think that'd be good. Haven't tried it, but I should. Okay. So what we're going to do is just, you can drop some batter. I'm going to use about 1 tablespoon of batter for my cookies. So for this amount of batter, you will get about, if you want them that size, you will get about 24 cookies. But if you have a cookie scoop, that's, to me, that's makes it easy. The important thing whenever you're forming cookies is to have them all the same size so they cook in the same amount of time, or bake, I should say. So, and a tablespoon of batter is about 20 grams if you wanted to weigh your cookies. If you're not, you know, the thing about when you use a cookie scoop, it kind of compacts the batter, and so the cookies don't spread as much. So if you're using just like dropping a tablespoonful, you might find your batter, your cookies spread a little more than mine do. I read that if you don't use a cookie scoop and you just drop them. If your cookie sheet, if you put it into the fridge and get it nice and cold, that will help prevent the spreading. I know some people don't like the spreading of the cookies, so try that. But I say invest in a cookie scoop. So I'm going to do 4 rows of 3. Oh, upside down. Put that right side up. Okay, and our last one. Okay, so now we're going to bake these off. I would say between 8 and 10 minutes. Everyone's oven is a little different, so it may take a little less, may take a little more. What you're looking for is the outside of the cookies to be, if you touch them, they're firm, but I like the center still a little soft. So that will give you that kind of soft but chewy texture. So I'm going to say between 8 and 10 minutes. I do rotate my baking sheet front to back about halfway through to give a nice even bake. So 8 to 10. So our chocolate peanut cookies are done. So put your pan on a wire rack. You see, if I feel the outsides are firm, but I'll just press on here. The centers are still a little soft. That's how I like them. So I'm going to let these cool down a little, 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'll use my spatula to transfer them to a wire rack to finish cooling, and when we come back, we will try one. Okay, we are ready to try a cookie. They're still a little warm, which I like, warm from the oven. They have that nice soft but chewy texture. And, not like a brownie that's really that chocolate flavor just hits you. It's a milder chocolate flavor, which I like. And the flavor of the chocolate is going to depend on whether you're using the Dutch process or the natural unsweetened. There is a little bit of flavor difference there, and of course even between brands of unsweetened cocoa powder, but they're all good in my opinion. So whatever you want to use. And then I like the little bit of crunch and the flavor from the peanuts, but like I said, if you don't want peanuts, you can substitute other types of nuts, or you could even add some chocolate chips, like I said, you want to beef up that chocolate flavor. You know, of course, cookies are really good, hot, warm from the oven or the first day. But I find this cookie, 2-3 days you can store them, still really good. So great for the cookie jar. You could freeze them if you want. And yes, you could, if you didn't want to bake them all off, you could put the batter in the fridge for a day or two, and then you could bake off when you want like warm from the oven cookies. So you must try this. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of chewy.com.